we got a fun week 2 matchup here between the NFC West division rivals and the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams, who I think, Ryan, I think we can agree they both had surprising victories in week 1 for the exact opposite reason. So San Francisco, we knew that they were going to be good, especially throughout the entirety of the season. We knew that the game between the Steelers, that they could win this one. Week 1, you never know. We were surprised on how well they won that game and how much they dominated. And then on the Rams, I don't think people really gave them really any shot whatsoever against the Seattle Seahawks, who were coming off a great season last year. It's week 1 and no Cooper Kupp. And what do you know? Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell combined for, I think, 238 receiving yards and absolutely torched the Seahawks defense, who there's a lot of revamp and everything throughout the offseason. So a lot of fun coming into this game. Ryan, what are your expectations overall coming into this week 2 matchup?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very good game. I do lean towards the 49ers slightly, but I think it's going to be higher scoring. I probably picture it in the realm of like a 31-21, 31-24 type game, maybe if not a little higher. But no, I think these are two good teams. We kind of wrote the Rams off at the beginning of the year, just not really thinking that they would be very competitive, and they showed us otherwise. So they have a real test this week in week 2, and I'm curious to see how it goes. They actually were fairly balanced. Kyron Williams killed me in fantasy. Came in, he had 2 rushing touchdowns, and then with 52 yards. And then they threw the ball really well. And the most surprising thing for me, I guess, was just how well that offensive line stood up too against the Seattle pass rush. So that was interesting. Again, they have a much harder challenge against San Francisco this week, but I think it's going to be a good game to watch, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I think the Rams looked very good overall. I think they're definitely going to be going up against a much tougher test, especially defensively. I'm going to be very curious on how this offensive line holds up against the San Francisco defensive front, who just torched Pittsburgh's offensive line. There's all this talk about the restructuring and the pieces that the Steelers brought in. And it's week 1. You know, it's essentially 4th week of the preseason and whatnot, but this game counts, and they just torched them. They absolutely torched them. So I'm curious. This is going to be a much tougher test against a Seattle defense who it looks like they're still kind of rebuilding a little bit and retooling overall that defense. But I think another thing as well, not to belittle the Rams' performance, especially on the defensive front as well. The Seahawks offensive line did start to get beat up. They lost both their tackles throughout the game. Now, the 49ers did not perform well overall against the Steelers. So that's where I'd be curious if there is some vulnerability there and if Aaron Donald can capitalize. Because, I mean, Aaron Donald's just a beast, man. You just kind of – last year, you just kind of forgot, I think, about how good he was because that team was very forgettable overall, especially when Matt Stafford went down. But then that's another guy I want to bring up. Matt Stafford absolutely dominated that game. I think threw for well over 300 yards. But then that's what you mentioned, Kyron Williams. 334. You mentioned Kyron Williams, and passing performance like that, and when you have these open receivers or these receivers who can get open, Puka Nacua with a rookie performance to remember. And so it's going to be hard to top that one over your next couple of games. But they've got a true test on their hands. But, man, with how explosive they were and how easy they were to get open. Like, we were watching that game, and it was just Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell. There's easy throws. I mean, I say easy. Take that with a grain of salt, but it's like it's constantly getting open just over and over again. I'm curious just how the Rams will match up, and I feel the 49ers are going to win as well. That's who my selection is going to be. We haven't really talked too much about them, but I think this will be a good test, a really good test for the Rams on if they're real or not, and if that week 1 performance was just maybe the Seahawks are just slow starters to the season. So with the 49ers. I mean, that offense, did it lose a beat with Brock Purdy? Like, there's our question marks. I had the Steelers coming in because I'm like, Brock Purdy didn't really get too much offseason prep coming off the UCL injury. He looked phenomenal. Christian McCaffrey was doing CMC things. Brandon Ayuk was playing. I'm trying to see. Could you look up? I'm blanking right now. Did Kittle end up playing or if he did, he didn't have that big of an effect.
He's not on the injury report. I thought he did, but
I thought he did as well. But I just want to confirm, just the stat line overall.
Yeah, he played. He had 3 catches for 20 yards. So nothing super dynamic, but
but it's, I mean, Brandon Ayuk, I think, had 8 or 9 catches for
130.
I think I just 130 and 2 touchdowns. That's going to be, I mean, it's going to be hard to, it's going to be hard to take away from him when he's got the hot hand. So, and then Ayuk's coming on, and he's your more traditional receiver. And then you have Deebo Samuel, who's just your gadget guy. The thing to me is I wonder if the 49ers, because they did lose Mike McGlinchey in the offseason, and so there was a little vulnerability in that offensive line. They were going up against TJ Watt. That's just kind of a mini storyline for me. But I think overall, I just think the 49ers are just a better team, a little bit more talented. And also, too, and I'll just say this, I'm not trying to throw any shade to Rams fans, but this is a game at SoFi, and yet it's like a home game for the 49ers. 49ers are going to flood that stadium. I mean, when you get to the silent count at your home stadium, that's what the Chargers were doing against Miami. I'll keep saying it over and over. I just think it's just kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. That's definitely being in LA. A lot of people move there, so there isn't a super strong fan base. I did like that about St. Louis, was they were very passionate about it. But anyways, the one thing to me is I just see more paths to victory for the 49ers. I think they could grind this game out on the ground if they needed to. They could play solid defense and keep it low scoring, or if they really want to open it up and spread the ball around, they could move up and down the field with the Rams if that's the type of game that it becomes. And for me, I think the Rams, they have to play a perfect game, right? They can't really turn the ball over, no wasted possessions, try to minimize penalties where you can. And I get that's the goal, but they can't get behind against a team like the 49ers, because then they will just eat them alive. They'll send 4 guys, drop 7 into coverage, and then it's like those passing windows get so small. They're still getting after the quarterback, and it's just this is not a game where the Rams can get behind.
Well, and also too, there were instances last year where people put up some stats against that Seahawks defense.
Yeah.
Now, can you do it to the 49ers? Not too many teams
had the best defense in football last year.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a great game. I'm definitely looking forward to it, especially too, because I think there's only 4 afternoon games. And if I'm being honest, this will be the most competitive one, in my opinion. Maybe Washington, Denver could be a good one. But I don't think Zach Wilson is going to be able to beat the Cowboys. So, spoiler alert there.
But let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to win this game. Is it going to be the Los Angeles Rams? Is it going to be the San Francisco 49ers? Let us know what you think. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.